Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Dale, and this is the Double Down Sports Show coming at you with the Saturday Night Quick Hitter. Glad to have you with me for this action packed, information filled show. So much going on in the sports world this week. So, without further delay, I'm going to get right into it. Topic A is going to be Tiger Woods returning for the Masters. This hasn't been confirmed by him or his camp yet, but per EB junkies of the sports junkies, I'm going to take him at his word on that. He kind of put that out there that he's confirming it, so I'm going to use him as my source. And if it's wrong, we can blame him. But I'm jumping in on that too. I'm behind that. Looking forward to seeing Tiger get back out there into action. And after seeing him and Charlie do their thing earlier in that father-son tournament, I'm definitely seeing, what kind of shape he's in. Looking forward to seeing what kind of shape he's in now. And I fully expect him to go out there and do his thing. The last time he took the course in Augusta, he kind of fell apart there on the 12th hole. It's a par three, and he shot a 10. So after that, though, to finish out that round, the final round, he birdied 5 of his last 6 holes to finish 1 under for the tournament. So I'm looking forward to seeing how how it's going to carry over. I know he had the injury in there, the accident, and unfortunately nearly lost his leg, but he's looking healthy now. People who have seen him play at his home course out in Medalist, they say he looks to be in great shape, top-notch form. He played a practice round this week down in Augusta. Rory said he looked great, like he can go out there and win the thing. So what I'm looking forward to seeing from him, I just want to see him make the cut. So that's what I'd like to see from him. I'd like to see him in great shape and get through it injury free, and then head on into the rest of the season. What I was thinking was he was going to be on track to return for the Open Championship. So definitely happy to see him coming back for the Masters here, supposedly, hopefully, and looking forward to see how all that plays out. Not calling for a win or anything like that by any means, but I just want to see. I just want to see Tiger. The result, that's whatever. Don't care about that part. Again, I hope he makes the cut, but I just want to see Tiger out there again. So that'll be a blast. That'll be fun to see. Number 2 here on my list of topics that I'm going to run down for you here this evening on this Saturday Night Quick Hitter. Colin Kaepernick today at the Michigan spring game. Jim Harbaugh invited him in to be an honorary captain, and that gave him an opportunity to go out there and throw in front of NFL scouts and have the scouts come and look at him and see him without scheduling appointments or anything and alienating 30% of their fan base who for some reason apparently don't support the stance of being anti-police brutality. I know that's weird. That's a weird take to not be anti-police brutality. I don't know. I know what it's all about, but I'm not gonna get into it here. Anywho, he looked fantastic, and he has in all of his workouts that he's been recording here lately with NFL receivers, especially up in Seattle. He had a couple of guys up there. I think he went to Atlanta for one, and maybe New Orleans for one too. And he's looked great in all these workouts. Of course, looks to be in tip-top shape as always. And I'm hoping the man gets a shot. He deserves a shot. What has happened to him is one of the greatest tragedies in modern sports history. For him to not be in the game, despite being a healthy and effective player towards the end of his run in the league, it's a tragedy that he hasn't been out there, hasn't been given another shot, and it's inexcusable and inexplicable. And like I said, I hope he gets that shot this time. I think the league is finally at a point where it can accept a guy like him, protesting such an important stance. I hope he gets back out there. At his age, he's like 34 now. I think if he gets a shot, he'll get out there. I don't think he has a good 5 years left in his body and on his career. So definitely pulling for him there, and hoping that it's due. He's due. It's deserved, and just hoping and praying for him. Next up, we've got the U.S. men's national team, the soccer team. They make it into the World Cup. They didn't make it in last time, so I'm glad to see them get in this time. They're in the Group B draw. Who else is in that draw? We've got England, Iran, and the winner of the Wales Ukraine-Scotland match. I think they'll end up with a 2-1 record in that group. So I think they'll make it out of the group. It's not an overly tough group. England is definitely not what they used to be. Honestly, don't know anything about Iran's team, but they made it to the World Cup, so they're obviously decent. We should be able to handle them. We've got a pretty young squad with Gio Reyna and Kristen Pulisic, so they're led by some young talent. And honestly, if they make it out of their draw, that's a win. Taking into account the history of U.S. soccer and how they fared in previous World Cups. So I expect them to make it out of the draw, and then from there, it's whatever else happens is that's a bonus. So we'll see how that all plays out. I'm expecting big things from them, and I want to bring back the chant that I believe that we will win chant. I'm looking forward to bringing that back here in November once they get started up. It's going to be too hot and in Qatar, or Qatar, as some people pronounce it out. I'm a Qatar guy, going to stand by that. So they're going to play in November this year to avoid that summer heat. That'll be in the meat of football season. So we'll have to see what kind of audiences they get. With international competition, the audiences are usually drawn to the fact that you're supporting your entire country. And the squad that's supporting us out there playing for us. So I'll definitely be tuning in. It's must-see TV for me. Even if there's a conflict with an NFL game, as long as it's not the Commanders or the Broncos, I'll be right there tuned in. Those are my two teams. So looking forward to that as well. Next up, we had some shocking breaking news this week. If you haven't been following what I've been saying about Bruce Arians is shocking to you, I'm not shocked at all. I've been all over this since really Tom Brady's first year in Tampa. I could tell him and Bruce Arians didn't really get along. The chemistry just wasn't there. Bruce Arians kind of aired out the team's dirty laundry in the media. I know Tom Brady is not someone who goes for that. That always rubbed him the wrong way, but Bruce Arians never changed that. So I believe Brady's initial retirement was due to the fact that he just wanted out of Tampa, but they wouldn't let him go from his deal. Arians came on the record and said that'd be bad for business to do that. So with that being the case, Brady's only option was to go ahead and retire. He did so. The team reached out. They were left with Blaine Gabbert and I think Trask is the other guy on the roster there. Some young guy. They didn't really have many other options. They didn't want to reach out to Jameis to bring him back or anything. So they were like, "Hey Tom, we can make this work. We can go ahead and slide Arians off into the front office with an honorary title there. Move your guy. You can pick between Bowles and Leftwich. Move them into the head spot, and then come on back." And I think that's how that all played out. I think the wheels got turning on that shortly after the retirement, and things were nailed down, and all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and to get that all together for Brady to come back. And I know he wasn't ready to retire despite his lengthy social media post. He still has it. He'll come out there next season. They'll be successful. To me, they're the favorites in the NFC again with him. I wouldn't be surprised to see them and the Rams in the NFC Championship, and then probably going up against the Bills in the Super Bowl, because the Bills have Von Miller now. And I think that's all they needed was to shore up that defense. Counting on Josh Allen to go out there and be consistent. He finished up last season hot, and I expect him to carry that over into next year and be an elite level talent. I questioned him all up until that late season run, and now he looks like he's finally crossed that line from decent and really spotty to elite. I think he's there now. I think he's at his ceiling where he can be an elite. His talent is elite. It just wasn't really showing on the field, and now I think he's there. So I think that's my Super Bowl pick right now, the early pick. I think my Broncos will be there. Maybe Bills Broncos AFC Championship. If the Broncos defense and pass rush is what I expect it to be, they'll be the team to pull that out. But these are things I'll get into down the line. Just wanted to touch on that there. I thought the pick for head coach would be Leftwich, but like I said, Brady probably maybe wanted Leftwich more involved with the offense, because they really get along on the offensive end. So he probably wanted to keep that consistency, and Leftwich will get his shot. That's my guy, Marshall alum. He played with my brother at Marshall, so always rooting for him, and definitely want to see him get his shot. Next up, we've got the new NFL OT rule, where both teams, and this is a playoff rule only, which I like. I'm not in favor of extending regular season games. So I love the fact that it's a playoff rule where both teams will get to touch the ball, regardless of the fact whether the first team scores a touchdown or not. So I can see some interesting scenarios potentially coming into play there, where the second team also scores a touchdown and then decides to go for two to end the game rather than giving the ball back to the other team, where it's sudden death at that point. So I'm looking forward to see how all that plays out as well. It's long overdue. Josh Allen kind of got, well, you can say that the defense should make a stop, but it would have been nice to see him touch the ball in that playoff game with Kansas City. And now in the future, we'll get to see those things play out. So that's definitely good to see. And like I said, long overdue. So next up, Alex Smith had some interesting comments about the Commanders this week on the Rich Eisen show about how dysfunctional the organization is and how that affected play on the field. I don't know. I don't agree with that aspect of it. The things he said about dysfunction, that's hardly a hot take, hardly breaking news. These are things that everybody already knows about the team. They've been this way since Daniel Snyder took over. So that's not a hot take. That's not something that is shocking to me. I don't even think it should be news. I think that Alex Smith was once in a position where he could have spoken up at that time and been a harbinger for change within the organization because he was there. He was in a position to make change. He was already on the outs when he was there. They didn't want him. He knew they didn't want him. The public knew they didn't want him. The public didn't really want him. So when you're there and you're not wanted, that's your chance to go ahead and speak up, not years after the fact. Now it just looks like sour grapes. And it honestly, to me, looks like he's just trying to get a media gig. And trying to do what he has to do, throwing out some what he thinks are scorching hot takes to get his name out there. And it's working because he was trending this week. To me, nothing he said was breaking news in one ear, right out the other for me. I know what he's doing. I know what that's all about. So he was saying it'll affect Carson Wentz and his play on the field. But my thing about Carson Wentz is his play on the field is affected by himself. The Colts, Irsay said that the coaches would try to change the way he played, and he was adamantly against it, saying that this is the way I play, love it or leave it. I'm not going to change for you or anybody else. If he's carrying that attitude into the Commanders, it's not going to work out there either. And frankly, his career could be over at that point. If teams are saying that he's just stubborn and not willing to change, and also guys in the locker room don't like him either, all kinds of rumors out there about him, not a good leader and all this stuff. I don't know anything about any of that. I know what I see on the field, and I see that he doesn't get results. I'm not looking at his stats. I don't care about that. Look at the results. He lost to the Jaguars. I don't think he's a good quarterback, and I don't expect success in Washington because he doesn't appear to be somebody who's willing to change. I don't expect that to change. People don't really change, so we'll see. I don't see good things for him there. To wrap up Commanders discussion and who they should pick at number 11, they've got number 11 in the first round there. I definitely think they need to go receiver. I'm hoping they get a shot at Chris Olave. His NFL comp is Terry McLaurin. I think that's a fair comparison. I think if you compare those two up, it can make even Carson Wentz look good when you've got that kind of talent opposite him. That kind of talent can mask a lot of Carson Wentz stink. So hoping that they can get a shot at him. But I say that to say this. If Malik Willis is there at 11 somehow, I don't care about Carson Wentz. I don't care about his feelings. I don't care about anything having to do anything with him. I'm taking Malik Willis. It can hurt Wentz's feelings. Fine. I've got my QB for the future there if he happens to fall there. I don't see that. So I'm really just talking. But if it happens, that's who I want, and that's who I'm picking. So the rest of their draft needs, they can address the offensive line and depth there. They also need some linebacking help, but I'm not really worrying about the defense, knowing that I've got defensive-minded head coach and then a solid defensive coordinator. I think with Chase Young coming back too, hopefully he'll come back 100% and shore things up on the defensive end. They've got so many holes on offense that the early picks, I'm spending all those picks there. Even in the running game, I know they've got Gibson and even Patterson backing him up, but they can be more solid there. Maybe even a tight end because Logan Thomas is coming off an injury too. And then later in the draft, I would do this every year. Just one of those last couple picks, just throw it at a quarterback. Get a guy in the building, see if you can develop him. If it doesn't work out, it was a 6th or 7th round pick. no harm, no foul. Usher him out. He can maybe go coach somewhere. But I think that it's worth taking that shot. You got a Brady down there. Joe Montana was drafted late. So just take a shot and see if you can learn your scheme. If not, no harm, no foul, you move on. But I'm going to shift gears from the Commanders on into my Broncos here. The Broncos gave up their first round pick, so they don't have a pick until pick 63. And overall, they're a pretty solid team. No real holes anywhere. Really, all they need to draft for is depth. They've got a hole at middle linebacker right now, which they can fill by re-signing Alexander Johnson, who's coming off a pec injury. They can fill that just by bringing him back, and then from there just add depth there. Maybe offensive line depth. They're solid at receiver. They're pretty set at running back, although they could get a guy late just to short things up. Other than that, even the defensive line is, they lost Shelby Harris. Maybe you could draft somebody to go there. But they don't have any pressing needs, thankfully. And the whole city is just buzzing. We're still buzzing because we've gotten Russell Wilson. The Broncos team page had a post yesterday on April Fool's Day saying this is not an April Fool's joke. We've got Russell Wilson with a picture of him in his jersey. So it's just the city is still electric. I can't wait for football season. You say that every year, but when your team is in the mix, there's no feeling like that. And the Broncos are definitely a team in the mix. Gonna touch on the Wizards here. They've been officially eliminated from the playoff picture, so they're closing out the season. They blew out the Mavericks last night, of course, because the game doesn't matter. And they've got Porzingis got some revenge on his team, and Rui played a good game. And guys who weren't getting big minutes earlier in the season are starting to get some run now that it's over. And we're starting to see some, hopefully they can develop this talent in the offseason. I still think they need to make a move to get a point guard in there, whether it be in the draft or a free agent. That's really their biggest need. And that player needs to be a star to complement Beal and Porzingis. They got to get a star to complement those guys. I've been wanting Kuzma to be that guy, but I'm not sure that the other guys believe that he can be that player. And I don't know if the coaches believe that either. I do. And if he got that role in those kind of minutes, he could be that guy. But with the other guys not buying into it, they play the game. It doesn't matter what I think at the end of the day. So going to give a quick congratulations to Corey Kispert for breaking Bradley Beal's three-point record for rookies. It's pretty good accomplishment. And I think that he can develop into a Kyle Korver type of player for the team. And if that happens, that'd be great for a pick like that. And a role like him, all teams need a guy like a spot up, knockdown shooter. So it'd be great if he can be that guy for them. Next steps for them, like I said, they just got to get a star to complement, and that star should be a point guard. So if they don't do that, they're not going to be a contention next season. They'll be right where they are this year, trying to scrap to get in the playing game, and probably not making that either. But they should get a decent, high enough draft pick to be able to fill that need at point guard. So definitely hoping they can. Tommy Shepard, he's made some good moves. So if anybody can do it, he can do it. So I'm counting on you, Tommy. You can do it. You got this. But speaking of struggling teams, the freaking Lakers, man. LeBron and Anthony Davis came back last night, and they still went out there and lost to the Pelicans. I was so confident that they win that game. I put $1 on it. I'm not a betting man. I know our previous two shows on this podcast, when David had joined me, were all about sports betting. But I'm not. That's not really my forte. It's more his alley, up his alley. And but I went ahead and put $1 on him because I thought with LeBron and Anthony Davis back, they knew, they know that their back's up against the wall and this is it. So I know they know it's time to go ahead and make that move. But McCollum, Ingram, those guys, they were like, no, not tonight. They went out there and took it to the Lakers and got that W. And they're a team that's battling up there for their standing too. So that game meant every bit as much to them as it did to the Lakers. And the Lakers are struggling here. They really might not make it in. And at that point, like, what do you do? That roster is very old. Do you blow it up? This is blasphemous. Do you trade LeBron? I mean, everything needs to be on the table because this season, this roster has just been an abject failure, an absolute disaster. They're probably going to move on from Frank Vogel. Russell Westbrook, I'm sure he's out. They'll move him for something. Anthony Davis and LeBron, who knows? Malik Monk, I think you bring a guy like that back. Melo has probably had his last stand there. And then the rest of those guys, everybody else is, for me, everybody, if your team doesn't make the playoffs, LeBron, anybody, to me, is expendable. And that's only because LeBron is up there in age. If you can get a bunch of talent and a bunch of picks for him, to me, you do that. You consider it. Like I said, that's blasphemous. That's probably going to offend some people. And I'm not a LeBron hater by any means. I love him. It's just this iteration of the Lakers didn't get it done. And knowing that he's going to hold out and get Bronny on the team, do the Lakers want to deal with that? We'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. If it's me, I'm considering wholesale changes. I don't think they'll do that, but yeah. So a matchup tonight in the NBA before I get into the NCAA March Madness. There was a matchup, an interesting matchup in the NBA tonight between the Hawks and the Nets, a potential play-in game preview. This is another game with the Nets in the playing game. I know that all these games down the stretch, and with Kyrie back playing home and away games, they're really trying to ramp it up and get in the playoff mode here. So I figured that they'd go out there and take care of business against the Lily Hawks. They absolutely did not. KD did. He had 55 points, but the Hawks took it to him. It was a close game, but at the end of it, the Hawks pulled it out. Kind of surprised to see that. I know the Nets aren't quite at full strength because Ben Simmons' feelings are still hurt, so he's not out there in the court. He's saying he has a back injury. Yeah, okay. His feelings are hurt still. That's why he's not playing. His team could sure use his defense. He's not going to help you in the shooting department. They don't need that. They just need his size, the way he distributes, and his defense. That'd be really helpful to them right now and help them out with their depth. So we shall see if he returns for the playoffs. I don't know what I expect there. I don't really expect anything from him as a player. And if I'm them, I'm definitely not counting on him. He's proven that he's not somebody you can count on. So shifting gears into the March Madness, we had a couple of big games tonight down there in New Orleans with Kansas and Villanova, and then followed up with UNC and Duke. Villanova, Kansas, I made a pick on my other podcast, and this was kind of just trying to just be contrarian, where I picked Villanova. I know that they're shorthanded, and they had one of their key players go down with an injury, and that really took them out of any real contention. They fought hard and tried to keep that game close in the second half, but then you can see the lack of depth there, and the lack of missing that guy. Really just they ran out of gas, and Kansas they put it away. Bill Self is heading to the national championship once again, and he'll be squaring off against UNC, who ended Coach K's career, and they were celebrating like they won the national championship. So when I see things like that, I know they're the 8th seed too, but I'm seeing that and seeing how they like that game, it meant too much to them. They haven't won anything yet. So they've got the national championship game coming up, and I think Kansas will handle business in that. The last team in 8th seed won the national championship was Villanova, ironically enough, over Georgetown in '85 and Patrick Ewing. And Villanova won a close game there. That was the last time that happened. An 8th seed has made it. Butler made it, I know, and then I think Kentucky was the other more recent one who made it to the national championship, but they lost. So expecting another loss for an 8th seed here. Kansas will handle business in a national championship game. And another thing I wanted to touch on with my NFL talk, there was a trade today. It's not going to send shockwaves or anything. It was just Devontae Parker getting dealt from the Dolphins to the Patriots. You don't really see intra-division trades like that. But I've always been one who said, I don't care about trading guys within a division. If you think he's that good, then why are you trading him? Obviously, if you want to get rid of the guy, you don't respect his game anymore. So I'll trade him anywhere. So they traded him to the Patriots. That's in the division. They probably don't think he has it anymore. I do. I think he's still a decent player, and I definitely think he'll help the Patriots, who are lacking in depth at the receiver position. So I like that move for them. I like it for the Dolphins too, who pick up a pick next year. The Patriots also got a 5th this year. So I think it's a win-win. So yeah, I like that for both teams there. Switching gears into some NHL talk. the Caps in their last game, I think they played tonight. As a matter of fact, let me see how they did tonight. But in their previous game, they played the Hurricanes and they got housed. You can't win them all, but they lost pretty bad. It was 6-1 against the Hurricanes, and that's a potential playoff matchup too. So you really hate to see that. And I know that they had been hot since Mantha got back. That's something I kind of predicted too, that once he got back, he would help up their depth. And so they didn't play tonight. They play tomorrow. Let's see. They've got the Minnesota Wild tomorrow evening. That'll be a tough game for them. They've got a tough stretch coming up, as a matter of fact. So they got the Wild tomorrow, then the Lightning after that, the Penguins rivalry game, Bruins, Flyers, Maple Leafs, and then they get a cupcake with the Canadians. And then they come here to Denver to play the Avs. I've already got my tickets for that one. I've seen Ovi play here before out here in Denver. We went to a game earlier this season out there in Washington. Made a sign for Ovi. My son's name is Alexander, and we loosely named him after Ovi. So we made a sign putting that out there for Obi to see, and my son likes the seeing the action and all that too. So definitely looking forward to that matchup on April 18th out here at Ball Arena. And then they close up the season with the Golden Knights, the Coyotes. That's an easy. Maple Leafs, Islanders again, then the Rangers. So all in all, they've got a tough stretch to close out the season, and that'll get them battle tested and ready for their playoff run. They're pretty much entrenched in that 4th seed in the Metro Division, and I expect to see them in the Stanley Cup Finals against my Avs. So who are pretty much they're not locks to win the President's Trophy right now, but they're right there. They're in first place in the entire NHL. So I expect the Avs to go ahead and lock that up here at some point soon. But yeah, the Cavs are in 4th place in the Metro, and they'll probably finish there. And then once you get in the playoffs, though, especially a team like that, Vitek Vanacek has solidified the goaltending, and then their defense has gotten a lot better here lately. So I expect them to make some noise in the playoffs, and like I said, be there at the end against the Avs, which should be an outstanding series. And then the Avs, like I said, with their President's Trophy hopes, the last time they won it, I think they actually made it to. I might be speaking out of turn, but I think they made it to the Stanley Cup that year. The last time they won the President's Trophy. I'll have to look that up and revisit that on a later show. But they had a scare here recently with Nathan McKinnon. A guy in one of their games, a guy went after Mikko Rantanen, and McKinnon saw that, and you can't go after one of their star players. McKinnon's one of the star players too, but he took it upon himself to go out there and lay down the law. He pummeled the guy and hurt his hand in the process. There was speculation that he might miss the rest of the season because of that injury, but he actually came back here 2 nights ago and played well. He had 2 shots on goal, so he's back out on the ice. Thankfully, you can't afford a guy like him to miss any time here down the stretch. He's much needed for their depth and everything else. The goalie's playing well. Darcy Kemper, he's their number 1, and they've also got Pavel Francouz backing him up. So they've got depth. Not that you really need that in a playoff barring injury, but it's good to see both guys playing well here lately. Francouz was on the ice for their win the other night. Andre Burakovsky, shout out to him. He scored in the game. Mikko Rantanen scored. Darren Helm scored, and Alex Newhook scored in that game. So good to see everybody playing well here. And then we're getting some guys back to off the injured list. Landeskog is these guys are all coming back, so they're getting healthy heading into the playoffs, and so all the depth will be there, and they're going to be there. The Caps you can question because they're in 4th. I expect them to be there. You can question that because they're in 4th. The Avs, they've been playing so well all season. This isn't one of those things where they're going to have the best record and get in the flame out. This is a solid team. Home ice advantage here in Colorado matters at this altitude. I've been living here 2.5 years almost, 2 years, and I still get winded when I'm working out. So this altitude is no joke. So home ice advantage makes a difference, and that's going to help them out too. But then the fact that they're just a great team, they're going to be there at the end. I don't have any doubt about that, and I'm not jinxing them. They're just that good. I can run down the names on that roster. They're household names. I mean, I already said Mikko Rantanen, and that guy. I mean, come on. They're legit. No question about them. So I've got a couple of things I'm going to touch on just quickly before I wrap up the show here. Shout out, like, it's not a happy shout out to Max Verstappen, who won the Saudi Grand Prix there last week. Beat my guy Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes team. Lewis Hamilton had a very poor qualifying. I don't know if it was something with the car. I know it's not anything with him. He's the best racer in the game. Will be until he hangs it up. So the car, they must have just been having some issues with that to have such a poor qualifying. When you qualify that poorly in F1, your hopes of winning are pretty much dashed. Expect them to bounce back here coming up. So shout out there, reluctant, but yeah, I'll give it to you, Verstappen. And he won last year controversially, but I'll give him his flowers there. He won, so props. Another quick shout out to Naomi Osaka, who lost in the final of the Miami Open here today against Iga Swiatek. Iga is on a 17-match winning streak, so shout out to her too. You got to give props to greatness. She is on a tear here lately, and in these past couple of years. Like, she's always there at the end, especially with Serena being out, Naomi going through her stuff. It's opened up the door for her, and she is walking right through it. She's a great player, and in the French, Naomi is always going to be there. And this used to be Halep's event for a few years, but I expect Iga to be there and win that one. I'm giving that one to her. Now, Wimbledon, I'm giving to my girl Serena. I'm going to say that'll be her last one, and that's my call on that one. Won't get too much into that because these things are all still, ways down the road. So I've got some time to touch on those things on later shows, and I will get to those then. But yeah, just shout out to Naomi Osaka. Even in the loss today, she had a smile on her face the whole time. She was positive and upbeat all tournament, posting positive things and positive videos on social media, which I wish you kind of avoid social media because that's where the haters are. Got people who love her and respect her game are there too. And I've been respecting her game ever since even before she burst onto the national scene. I thought she would be the next Serena. She still is young enough to do that. It's just she's been going through a lot here lately, and I'm hoping the positivity remains and continues on here lately as we continue on into the final three majors of the year. Just want her to stay upbeat, and I hope her circle surrounds her with love and just keeps her spirits up, because the talent is unquestioned. So as long as she's mentally there, she'll be a contender and whatever tournament she's in, whether it be a major or something like the Miami Open, she was there at the end. To wrap up things for this show this week, and thank y'all for bearing with me here. I want to shout out my wife, and I'll give her a shout out at the end of every show because she deserves it. She's the greatest wife, best friend, life partner, mother to our son that I could ever pray or ask or wish for. Thank you for being my wife. Thank you for loving me and all you do for our family. My son is he's a ray of sunshine. He's the smartest little kid, about to turn 2 years old here. And everything he is because of her. I work all day and she's with him all day, and she instills greatness in him. And I see it and I appreciate it. And I love you, baby. And I'm doing this for you. So thank y'all for listening. Please like, subscribe, spread the word. I'll be here. Like I said, I'll be doing quick hitters throughout the week. I'll probably try to do them every other day, and probably get David back in the mix too to join me and lend his perspective on these sports matters. Might get a couple of my brothers involved. My brother Eddie Royal played in the league in the NFL for 9 years, and he knows all sports. So get him on to get his perspective here and there. And then my brother Chris too. Chris Royal played professional football too, played college football at Marshall, and he knows the ins and outs of sports too. He's always posted hot takes on Facebook, so I like to get those kind of perspective on the show here and there, and reach out to other podcasters too to get some guests on. So help me grow, I'll help you grow, and let's grow. Let's keep this thing growing. Let's support podcasters all across the world, and spread the medium and grow the medium. Thank y'all for tuning in with me. I'm Dale, and this is the Double Down Sports Show, and I'm out for this quick hitter. Peace out. Good night, everybody.